Hello and welcome back to the third rail. We have a new addition to the collection this week. I just received this lovely class 232 of the SNCF and I thought we should have a first look at it together. This is a Märklin product, of course, a one-year only special series released in 1986 under model number 3117. It is a factory-weathered version of another model, the 3107, that was already available in the program at the time. This is meant literally as the weathering was applied to finished 3107s during an additional production step. The 3117 doesn't appear in the standard or export catalogues, so I guess it was probably advertised through the dealer network. Aside from the weathering, the model differs from the 3107 only in the different running number, and it came with a wooden presentation rail in a special packaging. I think this is the first time Märklin tried this formula. It was clearly aimed at the collector market. I am not sure this was premeditated though, because looking at the serial numbers of the initial production run, the locomotives had been manufactured a few years earlier, so I'd hazard the guess that Märklin was looking for a way to solve an overproduction issue at the time. Whatever happened, it is something they would repeat later on with a choice of so-called snowy locomotives, such as the 3171 or the 3359, to list just a few. Several versions were produced. Version 1 featured acid-etched number plates on the side of the cabs to cover the existing number, but the original running number used on the 3107 could still be seen through the weathering on the front buffer beam. This was corrected in version 2, and the acid-etched brass plates were replaced with printed ones, a sign that the order books must have been pretty healthy. Märklin also released a two-rail version under the same model number, which is commonly referred to as version 3. I'll also mention a very limited series of 50 units made for a press event in 1986. The mention on the presentation rail was changed from Märklin to On y soit qui mal y pense. Why is that? I have absolutely no clue. If anyone knows, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to find out. Right, on to a few vital statistics. The model measures 18.9 centimeters buffer to buffer. The body and chassis are die-cast or zinc die-cast to be precise. The cab is made of plastic. The model is fitted with an electromechanical reversing unit controlling a 3-pole motor, which itself is driving 3 axles, one of which is fitted with 2 traction tires. We have dual headlights on both ends, which are always on. The model is fitted with hook couplings and uncouplers. All pretty standard stuff. Now, as usual, let's have a high-level overview of the prototype for context. As mentioned earlier, the model represents a Class 232 TC of the SNCF, the French National Railway Company. The eagle-eyed among you will have spotted that it looks identical to a Prussian T18, and indeed it is. The T18 was originally developed by Vulcan in Stettin for the Prussian railways who needed a solution for suburban lines. The engine was capable of reaching speeds of up to 90 km per hour in both directions. This capability eliminated the need for turntables and associated overheads. The first 10 units entered service in October 1912. They were tested and the design was improved and finalized by 1914. This is when the series production began. It was ordered by most Prussian railway directions, as well as other companies in Germany. The last units were delivered to the Deutsche Reichsbahn in 1927. The class was a common sight in densely populated areas in Germany until the late 1960s, and the last unit left service in 1975. But our prototype belongs to the SNCF, so why that? Well, a few geopolitics were at play here. Let's move to the east of France in an area called Alsace-Lorraine. The region had been ceded to the North German Confederation, soon to become the German Empire, after the Franco-Prussian War in 1871. The railway network also changed hands in the process, going from the Compagnie des Chemins de Fer de l'Est to the direction of Imperial Railways in Alsace-Lorraine, that's also known as AL. The AL operated and developed the network until the end of World War I. In 1914, 27 T-18s were ordered for the network. The locomotives were delivered between 1915 and 1918. They were given a green Prussian livery. After World War I, in 1919, the region was officially returned to France. France tried to return the railways to its original owner, but Est declined. The reason for this was that the railways were operating on German standards, driving on the right and using a different signalling system. Est wasn't prepared to commit the substantial investments required to convert everything. The railways were therefore transferred to a specially formed state body, the Administration des Chemins de Fer d'Alsace et de Lorraine, AL in short. AL opted against conversion. Instead, they only went as far as making changes to the signalling system. To this day, trains still run on the right in that part of the French network. The locomotives kept their green Prussian liveries until the mid to late 20s, before being repainted a very sober black. AL became part of the SNCF upon its creation in 1938, just in time for the Second World War. Alsace and Lorraine were again integrated in a German Reich, just a different one this time, and so were its railways, which were taken over by the Deutsche Reichsbahn. The locomotives became Baureihe 78s. In 1945, the region was handed back to France again, and the railways were returned to the SNCF. One locomotive remained in Germany. The remaining 26 locomotives received or reacquired a SNCF class number, the 232TC, and spent the rest of their career in front of suburban passenger trains or on local freight duties, and that until the last unit was withdrawn in 1966. Okay, that should give us a bit of context. You'll find credits and links to the sources I've used. Well, it's mainly Wikipedia this time. That's all in the video description as usual. Now let's have a look at my 3117. Now at the time of filming I have not seen it yet. I bought this from a shop I use from time to time, and it was described as being as good as new. So let's see what that means. The box is in good shape. The word patiniert on the box translates to weathered in English. We have the correct model number on the side, and it looks like we have a little tear in the packaging. Let's take the sleeve off. We have another white box, And yes, we have a tear. Never mind, it's not major. Now let's have a look inside. That's already looking good. We have the locomotive and the presentation rail. Now let's take everything out. So we have the paperwork. It looks like the styrofoam tray has simply been sewn off to make space for the presentation rail. That gives the whole thing a certain handcrafted quality. Right, let's get the packaging out of the way and we'll have a closer look. I won't need a presentation rail this time. There we are. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? It is definitely the same technically as other T18 locos made by Märklin. I've taken a few out. Here's the 3107. That's the model Märklin used as a base for this one. And here are the Württemberg and Prussian versions. The 3607 in this case and the 3109. There were other ones, such as the original one, the 3106 in a Deutsche Bundesbahn livery. I also have one of those. Now, let's have a look around. Well, I can't see anything wrong. At the front, we should be able to tell what version we have now. So we can see the 232TC414 running number through the weathering. So we have a version 1. Let's move on. The front grab bars on both sides are intact. They're also nice and straight, which is nice. And the other side of the model looks fine too. We can see some relief on the number plates, so yeah, it's definitely a version 1. Well, it's all fine. So it's a lovely model, but it is missing square buffers the 423 was fitted with, and probably a few other things as well. Now this might make a few people whinge a bit, but to be fair, other 232 TCs kept their Prussian configuration to the end in this respect. So it's not completely wrong as far as the entire class is concerned. Right, let's see how this thing behaves on the track now. And there we are. So, I shall rail the locomotive now. Let me rejig things a bit so you can see. Okay, moment of truth. The reversing unit is operational. I can see some lights. And the locomotive is moving back and forth. Very noisily so, though. Okay, we'll check the chassis. It all looks unused. The tires need replacing, of course. It's also very oily. I suspect the seller quickly oiled it before sending it to me. And a bit too much. Okay, let's have a peek inside. The screw for the body is hiding under one of the domes. It simply pulls up, no tools required. And there we are. We have a typical Märklin analog arrangement. Nothing special. Right, I'll quickly give the locomotive a service, and then we'll play with it for a bit. Cue the music. These were pretty uneventful 25 minutes. So, while the locomotive is running in, let's have a look at what rolling stock options Märklin had in the catalogues in the 1980s. And there is not much. We are talking SNCF here. We have SNCF Donnerbüchsen, the 4104, 05 and 06. And we also have a few freight options, for example the flat car with a Citroën traction avant, it's reference number 4435. We have the SNCF boxcar or closed freight wagon, the 4406. We also have some Alsatian wine wagons, 4432. Maybe also the open freight wagon, the 4681. So I got a choice out for us and I have set up two consists. We have our 3117 with some freight. I don't think I ever used any of these wagons before. And then we have the 3107 out as well with the Donnerbüchsen. Okay, it's time for me to hand over to the trains. Let's enjoy them for a bit.